Imagine what we can do now. Good morning. Good morning. It's been 2 years since we've been able to gather together for breakfast like this. Last year, you could see our youth and mentors as they shared their stories, but they couldn't see you. All they could see was a video crew, video camera, and a monitor. We knew you were there because we still had a very successful event. Thank you. As we look forward, as we get ready for this evening, or this morning, I'm sorry, our youth can see you. They can sense and feel, not just imagine, the community that's here to support them. So this morning, as we gather for our youth, as we dream big for our youth, imagine what we can do now. In the 2 years since we last saw you at breakfast, with all the challenges of the pandemic, we still realize some pretty amazing dreams. We've enrolled 74 new youth into our program and matched them with a caring mentor. In one of our annual evaluations, we learned that we had achieved the highest outcomes ever for our youth. We hired our new CEO, Dr. Karen Johnson. Yes. Karen is now a mentor in our program, and as you're going to learn in a few minutes, she's honing a new skill. Our former CEO, Christy, is training new faculty members so that we can deliver this research-based curriculum to even more youth in our community. We met and exceeded all of our revenue goals and closed on our capital project. We've received government funding, and we're working with elected officials to support public policy and funding for our programs. Your continued support has made all of this possible. 95% of our youth still graduate high school, compared with 50% of their peers who have faced the same adversities. 90% go on to post-secondary education and training, and 100% of the youth that complete our curriculum believe anything is possible in their lives. So as they dare to dream big, imagine what they can do now. Dreams are realized one step at a time. With each step we take, we gain a new perspective as we prepare to take that next step. Our board of directors is dedicated to continuing to build a foundation for new pathways for youth to thrive and to grow, so that our youth, no matter how difficult their beginnings, can dream big and realize unwritten possibilities for their futures. That's why we're dreaming even bigger. Building on the success of our capital project, we are poised to continue to grow, to increase our revenues, to double our impact in this community over the next several years so that we are serving 1,000 youth. So this morning, as you hear the stories of our youth, our mentors, as they imagine what they can do now, I ask you to imagine what you can do to support them now. Welcome.
So Xavier, what were your first impressions of me at the intensive retreat?
Well, I thought you were pretty cool when I first met you, and yeah, you were kind of quiet at first, but you're cool. What'd you think of me?
So I noticed during all the breaks, you took time to talk to everybody who was in our group. You really made friends really easily. When did you know we were going to get along?
I knew me and you were going to get along when we played catch in the courtyard.
Did you think I knew how to throw a football?
No, I did not think you knew how to throw football. or catch a football either.
Did you know I was the new CEO at New Pathways?
No, I was so surprised when I found out.
I think we're going to probably find out a lot of more things we have in common, and maybe some more surprises too.
Yeah, I think we are. I have a lot of fun when we're with each other. You always send me messages asking about how I'm doing at school and how's life going. I appreciate it.
Yep. What are your dreams, Xavier?
My dreams are to probably go to college or be a construction manager. What about you? Even though you're a CEO already.
Well, first I want to learn how to throw a perfect spiral.
I can help with that.
Mostly I want to do whatever I can to help you achieve your dreams and to realize even more possibilities for your future.
Yeah, thank you for being my mentor, Karen.
Thanks for being my mentee, Xavier.
When I was in 5th grade, they had, oh, God. Keep going. When I was in 5th grade, we had an assembly. They told us if we wanted a mentor. I raised my hand. I didn't even know what they were talking about. But I thought, I want one. I took the paper to my grandmother where she signed off on it. Life before New Pathways was crappy. Felt like I was never getting the support I needed.
What was it like for you before New Pathways? How are you feeling?
I don't know.
Did you feel alone or supported at all?
No, I did not feel that way.
Who were you living with?
At the time, I was living with my grandmother and my siblings. My mom was deported to Mexico when I was 5 or 6 years old, and my dad was homeless. My dad had recently told me that he didn't want to have anything to do with me. That hurt a lot. Then, me and Brianna were matched. We did all sorts of things together, fun things at it. Like this one time when we went to the Andre House, which helps people who are homeless or in need.
What was your favorite part about going to the Andre house?
I remember this one little girl who was around my age. I was just going to 6th or 7th grade, I think. She was with her little brother. She came to the Andre house to get clothes and food. I was shocked to see that kids my age didn't have enough clothes, enough food. That was very shocking for me. But she seemed happy though, even though she was struggling. She was happy. So it made me happy to see her happy.
What was it like for you to give back in that way?
I felt like I made a big impact in the world.
And what did you learn when we were there?
I learned 2 things could be true. You can struggle and not have the things you need, I think. And you could be happy for the things you do have.
We grew our relationship by doing a lot of things together. Some of them she didn't really like to do. A couple years ago, we decided to go to Sedona and go hiking on one of my favorite trails, West Fork. I figured we'd go about a mile and then we'd grab lunch back in the city. As soon as we got there, we hopped out of the car, and Brianna immediately asked me a question. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I asked what that sound was.
It was the sound of the wind in the trees, something you don't really hear in the city. Well, we didn't just hike for 1 mile. We ended up hiking for 6 miles. And time for a confession, because this probably ranks on one of my worst mentoring moments. I didn't pack us enough water for 6 miles. But luckily, there were a lot of people out on the trails. They were really able to help us with our hydration. Once we had that under control, we could hear thunder in the distance, and then that was our cue to really move it back to the car. I was convinced this had to have been another thing she hated.
But I loved it.
We grew close and comfortable with each other over the years. So you can imagine how distressed I was last summer when I got a phone call from a mental health organization, and on the other side of the line was Brianna. She had just attempted suicide 2 days ago. She was just now able to call people. I remember, I don't want to freak out, really be there, curious, open with her on the phone. I wanted to be there to support her as she moved through the hardest parts of life, and to be there for her in the biggest things in life. She still wasn't allowed visitors, though, so I went to talk with my program coordinator. She helped me to slow down, to feel the sadness and the heaviness in everything. That's something I really don't like to do. She helped me to process things in a way that didn't have to be so logical. She helped me realize that I couldn't think my way out of my emotions. But I got on the visitation log as soon as I could. I went to go see her the very next day, and I brought her some new clothes and Panda Express.
My favorite food.
And that first day, I stayed there for over an hour until they kicked me out. I went back every day for 4 weeks until she was discharged. It's incredibly rewarding to be in a relationship with someone you really care about. It was great for Brianna to call me first while she was in the hospital. It really showed me how much she valued our relationship and how much I could be there to support her.
Like Brianna said, last summer was a really rough time for me. I felt like nobody really cared about me. Brianna continued to be by my side and show me that she cares about me. It only took one person to change my whole perspective about love.
I've learned a lot over the past 5 years. My husband and I don't have kids of our own, so we love our time with Brianna. I know all the best K-pop bands now. I like to think I'm pretty hip. She also shows us the best of TikTok every week. What are your dreams for the future?
Oh, yes. Okay. So my dreams are to go to college. I want to travel to Asia and make a family of my own.
What's college like for you?
Yes, of course. Okay. So people in my family have not gone to college yet or even finished high school. I want to show my siblings that I could be a big role model to them and show them if I could do something, they can do it as well.
I never dared to dream that I could be in a relationship like this, that I could be a support to Brianna in this way. Sometimes it's hard, but every bit of the hard is worth it. I get to see Brianna embody her declaration. She is strong, empathetic, and helpful.
Yes, I am.
You always go above and beyond, and it makes it so easy for me to do the same.
I would like to thank you and New Pathways for changing my whole perspective, for showing me that I have value and worth and can impact others.
Before New Pathways for Youth, I cannot see myself up here. I see myself locked in my room alone. When I was 10 years old, I had just gotten back from school. I still had my school uniform on. My cousin, who was 15 at the time, approached me. I didn't know much about him since I had met him just a month or so ago. I lived in a share home with my mom and my brother. She would often let people stay over, family members mostly. That same day, he hurt me. I didn't know what had happened. I kept it to myself. I went into the restroom and cried there for hours in confusion. After that, I wasn't the same. I used to be that joyful little kid everyone loved. I was always crying myself to sleep, and I felt alone. I never opened up to anyone until 2 years later. I felt a pain in my stomach, and I didn't know anything, so I thought I was pregnant. So I finally opened up to my stepmom, and she reassured me my body would be fine. And she also explained to me that I have been raped and how sorry she was. She cried while we figured out what we were gonna do. That's when I told her he was still living in the house and that he had tried it over and over again and I would hit him to stop him and he'd put the blame on me. So she told my dad about it and I was scared because they were gonna tell my mom. But my dad told my mom that if he wasn't kicked out, he was gonna keep me. So she kicked him out. Even though he was gone, there was still pain. I still thought about it every day and I was scared. So I finally opened up to a school counselor and she amazingly told me about this program. She said it'd be a great opportunity for me to speak about my emotions and have an adult I can trust. She put me in the program, and then that was in December 2019 when COVID hit. So I didn't get the interview until a couple months later, and in the interview, I felt loved, seen, and heard, and I thought, this is what I really want. So I waited till I got the call, and that was when I finally went in retreat in September. The first day of retreat, I remember I had my hair dyed. I had 2 blonde strips in my hair, and the day after that, I thought, no one else has dyed hair, so I dyed it black because I wanted to fit in. But when I met Zoe at the retreat, she told me I was beautiful, and she liked me the way I was, and that was only the beginning of our friendship.
It was May of 2020, and I had just graduated college virtually. I just moved home, and I realized very shortly after that I needed to move out. Sorry, Mom, I love you. Ironically, I moved only 5 minutes away, and COVID was still spreading like wildfire during this time, so it was very, very hard to find a job. I was living off of unemployment, and this was when I really started to question everything about my future that I had planned. I trashed the plans to go to medical school and went back to the drawing board, and I suddenly lost sight of my purpose in life. Now what? As I took up my new job of being a couch potato, I realized that there were better things that I could be doing with my time. I started researching volunteer opportunities, and among the thousands that I could have come across, New Pathways fell into my lap. I attended a mentor training, and 3 weeks later, I was at retreat in September. The first day of retreat, I walked in, and I'm pretty sure every mentor thought that I was a youth. I was the youngest mentor in my group. I walked into the courtyard, and I met Alejandra. I asked her her name, and in a very shy, timid voice, she answered, Little did she know I was probably just as nervous as she was, if not more. I told Alejandra that I loved her just the way she was. And on that second day of retreat, we did an activity. The mentors and the youth look into each other's eyes for 30 seconds, and you don't say a word. And I really underestimated the power that this activity had. I started crying, so I started crying. But from that point on, we formed a bond that's only deepened over time.
Before meeting Zoe, I felt as if when I had conversations, no one was interested in what I had to say. I always felt alone and isolated, but Zoe reassures me that I'm not alone. She is caring and amazing in every way. She's an adult I can trust, which is really hard to do. She's like family.
I found my purpose again when I became a mentor. I was unaware of the sexual assault until very recently, and that was really, really hard to hear because you never want someone you love to go through that kind of pain. I've shared with Alejandra that I was a gymnast for 11 years when I was younger. And as a gymnast, you're taught to push yourself until you break, physically and mentally. As a gymnast, your coaches push you to do things that may feel scary and uncomfortable. And that's how you get comfortable being uncomfortable. Coaches would also never, ever tell you to throw a trick if they did not have the confidence that you would land it. I would also never throw the trick if I didn't have the confidence that they would be there to catch me if I fell. This is similar to the relationship Alejandra and I share, because I'm going to push her to do things that she probably does not want to do. I may have already. But I'm going to remind her that I will be there to catch her every single step of the way if she falls.
Me and Zoe do a lot of things. She's there for me in a lot of ways. Before, I was really shy and I wasn't really outgoing. Now here I am. Oh yeah, I forgot that. So what did we do together? We went to the park. Okay. We also went to the park, as we saw in the pictures, and we went tie-dye while we looked at the ducks.
As many of you may know, life is not always easy, but every day we get up, we dust ourselves off, and we give it our all. This is similar to the saying in gymnastics, if you're going to eat mat hard. I know that Alejandra is resilient, and she is going to overcome any obstacle that life throws at her. And she reminds me that I can as well. I was getting through the hardest time in my life when I met her. But I want her to know that just because I'm a mentor, it doesn't mean that I don't have my own battles and face obstacles as well. I've realized that as I've gotten older, planning out every single step of the way leads you further away from where you want to be. I've also realized that a fork in the road is not always a bad thing, because my fork led me here to Alejandra. I truly can never thank New Pathways enough, because they not only provide opportunities for the kids, but they provide opportunities for the mentors as well. And besides that, they also brought Alejandra into my life. And Ale, you saved me.
I now see a lot of opportunities are opening up to me. Before, I thought nothing was there for me, but Youth Pathways has shown me there's always something for you. I'm looking forward to graduating high school and pursuing my future as the CSI. I'm proud to say I have Zoe and New Pathways to be encouraging me and celebrating with me.
guys showed up today. It was early in the morning, about 5:45. I was heading to school and I noticed that my shoebox was open. That shoebox was the place I stored my savings for things I wanted to buy, like shoes and clothes, and to pay for my contortion class. Yes, I said contortion class. Thank you. My money was gone. I was upset. I lived with my mom and her partner, Erica. I was only 16 years old. There were things about Erica I thought were off. So I decided to confront my mom and Erica and ask if they had taken my money. They said they hadn't. Later, I confronted Erica again without my mom there, and she admitted to it. I felt hurt, betrayed, and alone. I was living with this for a year and a half before I learned about new pathways. At first, I thought, I don't want to do it, but I ended up going to the retreat. Let's see how this goes. The first day was pretty amazing. I felt this openness, this peace. During the retreat, we were all in a group, and they asked the mentees to be in a circle. They played music and explained to us we were never alone and never needed to feel ashamed. We could feel both love in and outside of the strong circle. That's when I got matched with Janelle. We started communicating about our challenges and tried things we hadn't done before, like taking an art class, going to Flagstaff, going to Tempe Town Lake to sit and talk. Something we both struggled with was trust. I started to feel that Janelle was my friend and someone I could trust, tell my secrets to, and share how I'm feeling. I could ask her how she's feeling as well. This was something new. Loneliness was no longer a challenge for me.
This program is for youths who come from a background like mine. I didn't have a mentor growing up. Probably could have used one. I did question whether I could be a good mentor or not, though. The assumption is to think you have to have some special skill, some talent, otherwise you couldn't possibly bring value. It's that imposter syndrome voice, the one that brings doubt. It's fairly common to those who have experienced trauma, even years after the fact. I grew up in a small town in California, outside of Coachella. I know, many of you have heard of Coachella because of the Coachella Festival. I assure you, before Beyonce, it wasn't anywhere anybody had heard of before, or anywhere anyone went on purpose. My family lived in poverty. My household was really dysfunctional, complete with domestic violence, drug abuse, and social isolation. My response to the whole thing was just to rebel and to find other misfits like me to hang out with. I managed to graduate by the skin of my teeth, but what I learned more than anything was that I didn't have any adults in my life to count on and that I shouldn't trust anyone. I see so much of myself in Raven. We both struggle with those issues of trust and wondering how much energy we really want to put into other people. We've been matched for a year and a half now, and we've gotten to know each other gradually over time. Raven was a little standoffish at first, and if I'm being honest, maybe I was too. But we started to do fun things together, and she would share a little bit of her story with me, and I would share some of my story with her. One day, we went down to Tempe Town Lake, and we were walking and talking, something we're really good at now. When we decided to sit and watch the paddle boats. And while we're sitting there talking, I was thinking to myself, I really hope I'm being a good mentor to Raven, and I hope I'm giving her what she needs. And just as I'm thinking that to myself, as if she had read my mind, she turned to me and she said,
I am thankful to have you as my mentor, and I really appreciate the time we spend together.
it was a small moment, but it was genuine and it was ours.
Never having a mentor, I didn't think this was possible. It changed my perspective about who I can trust now. I've gained the self-worth to own up to my faults without shame. I had taken on shame from Erica and from what my mom tolerated and how she abandoned me. I learned how to let it go. I learned that if another situation like this happened, to stop, think, and listen. Take a breath. Go outside. Go into another room. Or for me, do my contortion. I don't have to be so quick to react. Now I'm able to control myself and express how I'm feeling. These are the skills I have learned from New Pathways, through the retreat workshop, the other mentors and mentees, and mostly from my mentor, Janelle. This is the new path we're both on.
Being Raven's mentor has helped me see my own worth and value as well. I don't have to be Superwoman, and I don't have to get it right all the time. I just have to show up. I can be the type of adult a young person can count on, and I get to be that for Raven. I hope you'll consider mentoring. If everyone took in a young person like this, opened themselves up to possibilities, they could see how rewarding and valuable it is, but also the world would be better for lots of people.
I'm an independent adult now with a different mindset. I'm motivated. It's so exciting. I'm happy about how I'm thinking. I don't have to react like the person I was back then. I had a lot of rage. I would try to get the enemy back. I didn't care about the consequences. Back when I saw that empty shoebox, I thought nothing good could ever happen. Now I realize starting bad is only temporary. There's always a good outcome at the end. Being able to connect and have healthy relationships is the way. Now my shoebox is full of possibilities. Thank you, Janelle and New Pathways.
There's a quote from Irma Bombeck that says, "It takes a lot of courage to show your dreams to someone else." This morning, we've heard about dreams that were shared on a hike in Sedona, while tie-dyeing at the park, on a bench at Tempe Town Lake, or even just tossing a football around. All of those dreams give us hope. We've all faced challenges these past 2 years. At New Pathways for Youth, challenges are nothing new to us. We eat challenges for breakfast. Our team, our amazing team at New Pathways, continued to find ways to serve our youth and our mentors with creativity and with commitment. Our mentors continued to show up. When I look at this stage, I see nothing but strength and amazingness. Our youth inspire us every day. They show us how to dream big, how to have fun, and how to face adversity head on. Because of their example, New Pathways has made some big dreams to continue to grow and to spread into even more communities in Phoenix. So, my next pass is to all of you. If something this morning touched your heart, we invite you to join us and become part of our mission. At your table, your host will pass out a form which is your invitation to partner with us. If the stories from our mentors inspired you to consider becoming a mentor, attend one of our intro sessions and learn more about how you can be that person. If the stories from our youth inspired you to make a financial commitment, please know how much that is appreciated. Regardless of the way to support us, please know that your being here this morning means the world to all of us. So thank you for that. Thank you for being part of our community. New Pathways for Youth began with a dream more than 30 years ago. It's a dream that sustains us today, and a dream that we intend to continue to carry on. With all of the strength of our mentors and youth, with all of your support, just imagine. Imagine what we can do now. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.